We always seem to meet in Norways, don't we, Mr. Drago?
Come in.
They certainly do you well here. I had a friend that lived here once, but he's gone to India. Jack Sinclair, do you know him? Well, aren't you going to offer a lady a chair?
Who are you?
My name's Belladea.
What do you want?
I live on the same floor as Daisy Arrow. I saw you coming out of her room Sunday morning. Don't you remember me?
I've never seen you before in my life.
Oh, yes, you have. I saw you when you called for Daisy at the stage door Saturday night. I was with her.
You're mistaken. I've never heard of anybody by the name of Daisy Arrow.
You're a cool one. You mustn't think nobody knows I've come here.
Be kind enough to state your business and get out.
I wasn't the only one that saw you at the door. I had a friend with me. He saw you plain as I did.
You cheap little blackmailer.
We're not discussing blackmail, Mr. Drago. We're discussing murder.
Murder?
You mean you haven't even been curious enough to read about it in the paper? You can't scare me. You killed Daisy Arrow. I saw you that night, and I saw you coming out of her room Sunday morning. And what's more, the cabman that drove you to Hyde Park can identify you.
In that case, why haven't you gone to the police?
The inquiry is tomorrow.
If you weren't more of a fool than a blackmailer, I'd go to the police myself and have you put away. I think our discussion is over, Miss... whatever your name is.
You'll be sorry. It wasn't much I was going to ask.
I'm asking you to go. That's not much either.
You're making a very big mistake, Mr. Drago.
Mr. Michael Drago, involved in murder, Daisy Arrow. Get him quick. As a rule, I don't bother with anonymous communications, Mr. Drago, but in murder cases, we're not permitted to use ordinary discretion.
I understand, Inspector. And I appreciate the discretion you've shown in bringing me here.
Not at all. And now, if you could give us a fairly accurate description of your movements during these intervals. Evans has it all worked out.
Let me see. That night I dined with Major Jameson at his club. We played billiards until midnight. Then I walked up Piccadilly. I returned to my hotel, about 12:45.
Did the porter give you your key?
Yes.
Cigarette?
Thank you.
Then you retired for the night.
Yes.
And the next morning?
Next morning. Thank you. That was Sunday. I got up around 10, and after having breakfast in the grill, I took a walk in Hyde Park until lunchtime.
And where did you go for lunch?
I came back to the Regency.
The Regency, I don't blame you. Excellent cuisine at the Regency. And now, just one more question, Mr. Drago. Your father was not a British subject, was he?
No, he was not.
I hope you don't mind my asking. Purely routine, you know. And you yourself have lived a good part of your life away from England. That Canada?
Yes.
But your mother is English, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And the Drago estate is?
Charnley Manor.
And that's in Devonshire, isn't it?
Yes.
Mr. Drago, Would you be able to say if there's an arbor of moss roses at Charnley Manor?
Moss roses?
Yes.
I'm not sure. It's quite possible, though. Our gardens have all the Devonshire flowers.
Oh, I see you're interested in flowers, Mr. Draco. So am I. Floral geography is a hobby of mine. Look at these begonias. I raised them from seed. Evans?
Yes, sir?
Please ask Miss Adair to step into your room for a moment. Place her as close to the door as possible so she can hear clearly and at the same time not be able to see anyone in this room.
Yes, sir.
And also ask Mr. Stevens and Mr. Thompson to come in here.
Yes, sir.
By the way, you don't know Miss Adair, do you, Miss Belladere?
No, I don't think so. Why, did she say she knows me?
No, she didn't. I hate to trouble you with all this falderall, Mr. Drago, but Miss Adair claims she saw the principal suspect in a cab when he called for the deceased at the Cambridge Theater the night of the murder. She also heard him speak to the deceased. I never place much reliance in these voice tests, but this girl insists she can recognize the voice. So just for the sake of a clear record, I wonder if you'd mind submitting to a test.
Why, you don't give me much choice, Inspector.
I have none myself, Mr. Drago. I don't doubt your word, but certain areas in your statement leave room for reasonable conjecture, which I hope this voice test will eliminate. Come in. Will you please read this aloud when I give you the word? And you do the same, Mr. Drago. Of course, it's all a lot of nonsense, but I'll try and get it over as quickly as possible. Evans, you stay with Miss Adair and take note of her reactions.
Yes, sir. Come in, please, Mr. Adair. Sit there. Ready, sir?
You're early. It just struck 12 on St. Paul's.
You're early. It just struck 12 on St. Paul's.
You're early. It just struck 12 on St. Paul's.
They're terribly alike, aren't they? But it seemed that the second one...
The second one, she said, although she wasn't absolutely positive.
Well, Mr. Drago?
Do you regard that as conclusive?
I wouldn't say that, but it rather leaves us on the fence, so to speak. Actually, I'm duty-bound to include your name for further investigation. I'm sorry.
I see.
Inspector, how would it be if everyone said something different? Then perhaps they wouldn't sound so much alike, and we could secure a positive identification.
Good man. You say something at random. You stick to the original sentence spoken by the suspect. And you, Mr. Drago, anything you like.
Do you mind if I read a sentence from a letter I happen to have here?
Splendid. An excellent suggestion, Evans.
You're early. It just struck 12 on St. Paul.